Good afternoon, it's 4 o'clock, I'm George Hopcraft and these are your Solent Sports headlines. The EFL announced this week that they'll be increasing the number of subs allowed from 3 to 5. Most leagues made this the standard when football returned following the first lockdown to ease injury concerns. Our reporter Henry Deacon has been out in Bournemouth getting the full story.
Three was always the magical number when it came to substitutions, but from now on the EFL will follow in favour of 5 subs as of this weekend. Initially implemented after football's restart to help player fitness, the Championship, as well as League 1 and 2, will join the status quo across Europe. The move has split opinions, but Lee Bradbury, assistant manager at Crawley Town, is in favour of the new rules.
Would I like to see it long term? I think I probably would, to be honest. It doesn't mean that you have to use them subs, but it keeps a lot of the players involved as well. You know, if you've got a 7-man squad and a 7-man bench and you can only make 3 subs, that's 4 lads being disappointed at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, you don't make substitutions to keep people happy. You make substitutions to win games.
From a coaching perspective, it's easy to see why they were in favour so unanimously. However, what do the fans, locked out of the terraces, think of the move which will dramatically change the dynamics of the game?
Personally, for me as a Rotherham fan, I don't think the news is too good for us. We're a team based on fitness, and manager's an old fitness coach, so we do love a late goal because our players can run for the full 90.
My name's Alex, I'm a Watford supporter, and my views are basically that it will benefit the players. It'll benefit the players in terms of injuries. They'll stay fit for longer.
My name's Sam and I'm a Plymouth Argyle fan. I believe the new 5 subs rule for Football League clubs will be a good idea just for this season due to the nature of the hectic fixture schedule.
My name's Dave and I'm a Gillingham supporter. It really does favour the bigger clubs. It somewhat diminishes the entire point of the salary cap because the bigger clubs, especially in League 1 like Sunderland, Ipswich and Peterborough, they've got such a great squad depth.
Championship club AFC Bournemouth could be one of the beneficiaries of this new move. Relegated from the Premier League last season, their financial superiority should be a strength when it comes to squad depth. Elliot Byrne is part of AFC Bournemouth's media team.
The richer teams naturally have a benefit as they boast a squad depth that the others can't reach. For example, referencing Bournemouth again, my club could have substituted on Joshua King, Dan Gosling, Adam Smith, Sam Surridge, Rodrigo Riquelme in their win over Birmingham just before the international break.
The move is revolutionary and one which is divisive, but only time will tell if it becomes a success.
Derby first team coach Liam Rossinier is part of a 6-person panel who'll help to recruit the new chairman of the FA. Greg Clark resigned from the role last week after making a series of offensive remarks during an appearance before MPs on the Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee. FA CEO Mark Bullingham explains to what they're looking for in potential candidates.
Firstly, someone who will be an absolutely brilliant ambassador for us, both domestically and internationally. Someone who's equally at home meeting people in an under-10s tournament or walking the corridors of FIFA. But also we would need someone who can actually run the board effectively.
With the Premier League returning this weekend following the international break, our reporter Tom Cresswell takes us around the grounds.
The champions of England again at last are Liverpool.
The Premier League's pre-match press conferences kicked off this morning ahead of the weekend's action.
Rooney! Oh, wonderful! Danny Rose! Oh, what a shot! Cisse! Oh, that is sensational! Berbatov! Wonderful! Absolutely fantastic!
We start in North London, where Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta claims that he has to protect his midfielder Thomas Partey from himself as he wishes to play through his injury he sustained against Aston Villa.
He picked an injury very early in the game. He tried to carry on. He wanted to continue the second half, and we knew it was a significant injury.
Staying with the Gunners, Arteta insists that there are no issues between David Luiz and Dani Ceballos despite reports of a training ground bust-up.
Training is very competitive and issues happened a lot of times and those things get resolved immediately within the team.
Moving up to Newcastle now, and Steve Bruce has launched a verbal attack on Miguel Almiron's agent after he claimed that the player wants to leave the Magpies and would have already done so if it wasn't for the pandemic.
If it was Miguel Almiron, who I've had the pleasure to work with for the last 15 months, knocking on my door and having a problem, then I'd listen. An agent who 2 years in is probably then trying to profit again on taking them somewhere else is just hugely disrespectful to all of us.
And finally, over to Merseyside, where Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp has said that he will not be criticising star player Mohamed Salah, despite him breaching the lockdown rules to attend his brother's wedding whilst on international duty.
Football players in general were very incredibly disciplined. There were some cases, of course, but they really know about the situation. But sometimes it doesn't work out like this and something happens, and now we are in the situation we are in. But all the rest is just between Mo and me.
With plenty of other managers still to talk to the press this afternoon, there are sure to be plenty more headlines. Keep up to date on Twitter @Solent Sport News.
It has been confirmed that non-league sport will receive financial help from the government. But is it as promising as it sounds? Jay McDade has been out to investigate what impact this will have.
Would you rescue me? Would you get my back? Would you take my call when I start to crack? Would you rescue me?
This is what we should be hearing on a Saturday afternoon, but now it is merely a reminder of what football was like just a few months ago. The world of sport has seen a number of twists and turns in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, with doors being shut across the country and only a small number of clubs operating today. Non-league clubs in particular have been hit hard financially, as large sums of their income have been missed as a result of both national lockdowns, resulting in the government stepping in and announcing a rescue package for teams lower down the English footballing pyramid. One of these clubs is Handball FC, and first team coach Rory Anderson shared his opinion on what impact this funding could have at grassroots level.
I believe it will help the clubs as long as it's distributed fairly, and everyone will see a fair amount of what's being distributed out. Then obviously it's going to help. It's going to improve the state that we're in. We've had to look at grants and stuff like that already this year. So yeah, of course I think it will help. How much, I'm not too sure.
Whilst the government has laid out plans to support those lower down the pyramid, many have questioned the role of the Premier League in supporting non-league football. Journalist Ivan Provorou believes that the top leagues should have more responsibility in aiding those at grassroots level.
So I think there's an onus on the Premier League and the EFL to communicate a lot better, and actually support from the Premier League to support EFL clubs.
But it's not just football that is receiving aid. Many fans on social media have criticised the amount of funding being allocated to rugby. However, Ivan believes that the money already invested in football means it's time for other sports to receive a financial boost. But how this money will be separated is still a mystery to the clubs. Chairman of the Southampton Trojans, Duncan Parker, hopes that an injection of cash will trickle down to those who need it.
Roughly in the ballpark of about £200 million, just for promotion alone. That's, for one club, that's more than rugby has received from the entire government.
With a lot still to sort out, many clubs at grassroots level will be keeping their eyes on any development from Parliament. This is Jay McDade from Solent Sports News.
Lewis Hamilton has claimed his life has been turned upside down by the pandemic. The British Formula 1 driver claimed his 7th world title in Turkey last weekend. However, snooker world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan has snubbed Hamilton from his list of all-time greats because Formula 1 is not a level playing field.
He's dictating the terms of engagement so far, is the Serbian.
I'm alongside tennis correspondent Ben Burgess, who's been watching the ATP finals where Novak Djokovic was out on court. But is he any more, Ben?
Not anymore, George. Djokovic has completed the job. He's defeated the German Alexander Zverev 6-3, 7-6 to seal his place in the semi-finals. You have to say it was an impressive performance throughout from the Serb. He was in cruise control in the first set, despite impressive resilience from Zverev in the second set. He managed to edge the tie-break to go through to the semi-finals tomorrow. He will face Dominic Thiem tomorrow afternoon, with Daniel Medvedev taking on Rafa Nadal in the second semi. Unbelievably, George, Nadal has never actually won this event, and the prospect of a Nadal-Djokovic final is still very much alive.
Thank you, Ben. Over the last decade, a new type of sport has risen: Esports. Competing for thousands of pounds within your bedroom, or often a colossal arena, our reporter Sam Raymond has been getting the lowdown.
Would you rescue me? Would you get my back? Would you take my...
With the slam! With the slam! There goes the teleporter!
The reputation of gaming has always been linked to antisocial behaviour and violence. However, that could be completely untrue. A study by Oxford University has found out that video games could be good for well-being, reporting that people who play video games for longer periods of time tend to report feeling happier than those who do not.
May well keep him alive. Look at the side. Look at the syndrome.
Hitmarker and esports commentator Will Whittingham said he is not surprised about Oxford University's findings.
A lot of the time when you see these links to from video games to addiction and to violence and all of these things, and to antisocial behaviour, it's people who haven't got a full, strong grasp, understanding of what video games are now, especially in esports. Video games are now intrinsically, and in these times more than ever, where we're in lockdown, people aren't able to go outside and maybe socialise in traditional ways as much. You've got so much ability to socialise with people near and far on these games, which are more and more intrinsically very, very social.
Currently in the UK, esports is considered game, not a sport. However, liaison officer at the British Esports Association, Alice Lehman, said that it's important esports is continued to be recognised as a game, not a sport.
For now, we're quite happy with it being a game, because it's not sport and it shouldn't be seen as something that you should do instead of football. You should do both. You should have a healthy, balanced lifestyle, and everything should be done in moderation. Even some of the professional esports teams, they'll have a routine, they'll have a health coach, and they'll make sure they're keeping mentally healthy as well as physically healthy as well.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Whilst many sports shut down due to COVID-19, esports was one of the few sports to keep going.
I just went backwards into the beat.
With many sporting stars including Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc getting involved, esports audience numbers have risen considerably. Twitch has seen a year-over-year growth of 101%, whilst YouTube saw a growth of 65%. Rocket League champion Elliot Bond said that sporting stars getting involved with esports helps legitimise it.
One of the most successful things we've seen actually is through COVID. Whilst it's brought the rest of the world to a halt, it's actually enabled us and the rest of the digital world industry to carry on and actually showcase it a little bit more. And that's been highlighted particularly by the likes of professional players and footballers and racers across the world.
With restrictions still in place, the future of sport looks bleak. However, for esports, the story is quite different. Sam Raymond, Solent Sports News.
And finally, a heartwarming story from golf as Tiger Woods announces he's set to feature in his first father and son tournament next month. Woods and his 11-year-old Charlie will be competing in the PNC Championship in Orlando. No pressure on the son of 5-time Masters winner. That's all from us now. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Solent Sports News, and we'll be back in an hour with all your latest sports stories.